case where you really need that kind of analog thing to flip through. Trying to do it with like Kindle doesn't work because you can't just like quickly turn to page 141 and start frantically flipping. But if you're a person that loves books, that is a super cool chooser game. There's also one more we want to show you, which is a game called Charty Party.
Oh, this way.
Yeah. If you're thinking, hey, I like party games, but I also really like charts. We have... I know, right? And some of you are thinking like, no, I really do like charts. How did he know that? You're going to be given an X and Y graph, and you have the X-axis filled in for you. In this case, you have a trend line around age. This is what the chooser puts out. This is like I'm trying to remember, I think the black card in Cards Against Humanity. Everybody then has to figure out how to fill in the Y part of the axis. So I don't know, do we have anything fun there just to flip over? Strong feelings about pronunciation of GIF or GIF. You couldn't humanly care less at 10 and 70, but at 40, you care a lot at 10 and 70, but you could not possibly care at 40 which way it's pronounced. The panic caused by loud noises. 10 and 70, it is a real problem. At 40, I could not care any less than I do. One of the neat things about that is if you ever play Cards Against Humanity with kind of the Russian roulette thing where you just like throw a random card from the deck in, and too often the random card from the deck can win the game. In this case, if you don't pay close attention, you can't win if you're not looking at the trend line. So it's kind of the next step. It's sort of a thinkier version of Cards Against Humanity. This one, panic caused by loud noises by number of cups of coffee. You are especially terrified at whole damn pot. Whole damn pot is where it's problems. We're going to move into the next type of game, and this will be called clue-giving games. If you've played Taboo or Codenames is probably at this point, I would guess, in a room of folks that are here for a gaming convention, might be the one you know the most, which is I have an idea to convey, and there's all kinds of restrictions on how I'm allowed to convey it to you. So there's Codenames. I'm sure you've seen the box. If not, we have the box here just to prove to you that we've seen the box. Let's move on. So there's another one called Dixit. Does anybody in the room know Dixit? Is that a game you've seen? Oh goodness, we don't have to talk a lot about it. But essentially in this one, you're trying to convey an idea with like a surrealist French painting. So let's take a look there. The box gives you an idea of what's going on, but let's just pull any card out and just take a look. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have a bunch of these weird surrealist French paintings in my hand. And I'm going to play one to the table, and then I can say anything or sing something. I can talk as little as I want or as much as I want. You can tell already I'm going to talk as much as I want. What I need to do is make sure that almost everybody understands what I'm conveying, but that not everyone gets it. If everyone understands what I'm doing, I was too obvious and I don't get any points. As long as I can leave at least one person in the dark, that's fine. But every other person at the table also gets to throw a card down once they've heard how I'm describing it. So everybody has a chance to use their surrealist French paintings to try and confuse everyone about which surrealist French painting is my surrealist French painting.
A what?
A surrealist French painting.
Okay.
So that's how Dixit works. A really weird game. There's also a game sort of similar to it called Mysterium, where it's a mix of this and like Clue, where you're using surrealist French paintings to explain to people how you were murdered and where it happened and stuff like that. We're going to move on to the next game, which is Monikers or Time's Up. So if you've been playing games for a long time, there was a game called Time's Up. If you've been playing games for a very long time, there's a game called Celebrity, which all of these games stole. Essentially, you're going to get a hand of 10 cards, and they're things like Hoobastank, and just white guy blinking, and Roy G. Biv, and an at-at. So what you can do is this. You're going to get a hand of 10 cards. You pick the 5 you feel comfortable with. You're going to end up going through 3 rounds of the game. Round number 1. You can do anything you can do in any other clue-giving game. I can act things out. I can say stuff. I just can't tell you it's an at-at, but I can do anything else I want to. Once that's gone through one time and everybody in the game has dealt with all of the different clues, we shuffle the same clues up in a deck, and we're going to do it again. But the second time, I can only use one word. So I have to pantomime the rest of it. Easy for an at-at, maybe hard for Mark Zuckerberg. You're going to do the whole thing. You're going to score all the points. Then you're going to shuffle that same deck of cards again. You're going to do it one more time, but you are only allowed to pantomime. What happens with this is, as a table, you sort of form your own language as the game goes on. So you find that maybe Mark Zuckerberg was very difficult to begin with. By the end, you've created some facial structure that is Mark Zuckerberg. You're just like... And that becomes Mark Zuckerberg. You're like, well, that's how he did Mark Zuckerberg the other times. That's clearly his Mark Zuckerberg. So that's a very neat one to check out. The most recent version that's kind of become popular is Monikers, which is right here. This is one of like 12 different expansions for Monikers. There's like Monikers and Moniker Schmonikers and more Monikers, and they've made a lot of cards in a box. So that is a very cool one if that idea, if you like to be a little more active and kind of act things out a little bit, is sort of a fun clue-giving thing to try. We're now going to try our first live game. So what I want, it's a clue-giving game, and I need to see who's willing to help me in a clue-giving game. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of you come up here for a second. So just one, here's how it works. Okay, so you already know how just one works. Okay, very good. Say it again?
Mask is missing.
So someone's stolen our mask. Normally we have it here. If you are the person that has to, that everybody's gonna help, you're the person that has to figure out the answer. Normally, we hide your eyes with a Shiba Inu Doge mask that we bought. But we noticed that the Shiba Inu Doge mask is missing. So clearly we have people to yell at when we get back. So here's what's going to happen is I'm going to show these 4 folks in front of me a card, and they are going to see a clue they have to give to me. They're each going to write a word on those boards that they have with them. What they're trying to do is write a one-word clue that's going to help me get the answer, but that's not going to match anyone else's, and they can't show each other. So let's...
Who's guessing?
Would you like to guess?
Sure.
Okay, so flip a card up.
Without looking?
Let's show it to everybody on the screen. We're going to put it right there so you can see it. Can everybody out there? Let me see if I can do that. Okay. So I'm going to pick number 3. Ooh. Number 3 is the clue you're trying to give. To the 4 of you up front, can you see number 3? Do you know what that is? So I can hide that now? Okay, I'm going to hide number 3 away. You keep your eyes shut. Each of the 4 people up here is picking a word, a single word, that is going to help her get number 3. Everybody remembers what that is? If you don't, I'm real sorry. I'm going to give you, remember fast? Do you feel like you have something? You look like you're already done. Are you done? Good. Are you done? Good. Everybody else? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's flash the answers to the crowd. So answer number 1. That looks good. Number 2. That looks like something.
Oh, no.
Answer number 3. I like that one a lot. And then answer number 4. Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted to see. 2 of them match. When they match, they get flipped over. She does not get to see the matching answers. She has only these 2 to go off of. And the crowd doesn't feel real good about it. Hey, Rocky.
Yeah?
Take a look at the screen.
Yeah?
What is your one-word clue?
Oh.
You have chips and unfortunately, Indian. Just answer it.
How about masala? Because we've eaten masala chips and they were bad.
Okay, so no, that's really weird and a really one-off that no one else would know.
You're welcome.
The clue you were given was casino. Casino, I know, right?
Oh,
no. A big round of applause for everybody that helped us out with that one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Whoa.
So the game works like that. It is a cooperative game, so you're all going to play it together. You're trying to score as many points as possible, and every round goes exactly like that with the person who has to figure out the clue goes around the table. The next one we're going to try, so this is a game that just came out recently. Made by, so I'm going to test the room because I'm never really sure. Let me try something real quick. How many here, and just raise your hand, have heard of Board Game Geek? Okay, for those of you that haven't, go to BoardGameGeek.com. It is where board game nerds put literally all of their knowledge. So if you know that, how many of you know the name of a game designer by the name of Wolfgang Warsch? He did The Mind, he did Taverns of Tiefenthal, Quacks of Quedlinburg, and probably other ones that I can't think of. He also just did a brand new party game called Wavelength. I need another person that wants to help me with Wavelength. Who feels good about clue giving? Who feels like you can give a good clue? Okay, I'm going to bring you up. What is your name? Say it again. Emily. Everybody, big round of applause for Emily. So this one, we are about to all play like a game show. All the pressure's on you, Emily. Here's how it works. So can we show the crowd like the device?
The device.
So in the game, you have this device. So yeah, let's flip that. And you see there's like this pie thing that gives you 4, 3, and 2. And then there's this like needle that's there, like you would see on like an old radio. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna close the green hinge and we're just gonna spin the wheel, spin, 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 spin. Then I want you to do this. Emily, come on our side, please.
Hey.
So we're not gonna show this to any of the rest of you. We're only gonna show Emily. where
All right, so
your pronouns?
Female.
Okay, just a second. Okay, so she's going to take a look. If you'd flip open the green board just so that Emily can see it. Okay, so you need to get the crowd to generally get right there,
let's not do that.
right where they're trying to go, okay? So you're going to be given a set of extremes, from job to career. So from job to career. Close the whole thing. You saw where you had to go. You're allowed to give the crowd a one concept idea from job to career. Okay? So if you were to do that to try and hit in that target, what would you say?
do you want to see it again?
Lower management.
Okay. From job to career, lower management. In this game, you're not allowed to use numbers. So we as a crowd, we're going to move that dial around based on where you as a crowd tell us to move that dial. What you heard was lower management. Lower management is the concept you've been given, okay? So what I want you to do is this. I'm looking at you here. Let me see. You either want to point me further that way or further this way. Okay, as a crowd, what do you want us to do? You want us to go further that way. Keep going, keep going. Tell us when to stop. Tell us when to stop. Stop, okay. How does everybody feel about that? Do you feel good? Okay, I feel iffy. Anybody else? Does anybody else have any strong thoughts? That guy has strong thoughts. He wants us to go that way. Are we okay if we go that way a little bit more? Nope, it looks like I have a few other people here that want to go that way. Let's go that way. Pretend this is a game show. You're allowed to yell and scream. Okay. No, bring it back. Oh my God, bring it back, please. Okay, everybody's calming down. Are we good? Okay, we're coming. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm backwards.
Keep going. Stop, they're telling you to stop. So there we go. Now, we have all decided more or less, some of you are gonna say we stopped in the wrong place. I don't care. Everybody on the team's gonna decide where to stop. We've decided to stop here. You've given us your clue. It is now time to reveal, by flipping the green board, where exactly it was.
Yeah.
Bam! As a room, we got 3 points on that one.
Woo.
You can either play in teams where you're working with a team to convey these clues, or you can play a co-op where you're all playing together. Emily, thank you so much for your help. Big round of applause. And that, once again, is Code Names. It just came out to Kickstarter. It should be in stores. I'm sorry.
You said code names.
I said Code Names. It is Wavelength. And once again, that should be coming to stores very, very soon. And we're going to do one more because the clue-giving games are so easy to do with a crowd. So let's take a look. Our next one is Medium. So what I want are 2 people that know each other. Do I have 2 people that know each other? Okay, what I love is that you're all the way in the back and you want to do it. The 2 of you in the back, come up. Give them a round. I don't know their names. Give them a round of applause. There are 2 seats up here, but you know what? Their stuff's all back there. Hand me 1 stack of cards. Not that any stack in the middle anywhere. So what's going to happen in Medium is you're going to have a hand of cards of just words, just like words. Pick the back one.
Okay.
So I assure you these are words. I'm not going to say the words to you only because I don't want to ruin what's going to happen. So I'm going to hand you each 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are your names? Juan. Ariel. Okay, Juan, look at your cards. Pick just any old card you want to pick that seems like it's going to be fun. Just pick a card. It's like a magic trick. Pick a card, any card. Okay, so Juan picked his card. Let's put that on the screen. You're allowed to see that, Ariel. The card is a wedding. I just want everyone else out there to know this is not a ruse. You're not part of a thing. Unless, are we part of a thing? Because I didn't mean to be part of a thing, but I'll take that moment.
No one told us.
Yeah, right.
So Ariel, I want you to do this. Look through your cards, the cards that you have. I want you to pick a card. What's going to happen in a second is you 2 are going to have to mind meld. So I want you to pick a card you think is close enough to wedding that you 2 could find like a single thought that gets you from wedding to the card that you are about to play. So you're going to hand me a card. So we're going to show that to everybody. Your card is wedding and beautiful. Exactly. Once again, there's not a thing happening. This isn't a thing. So you each are going to say a word out loud on the count of 3. If they match, you have scored. If they haven't, I'll tell you how the rest of the game works in a second. Okay, so do you feel good? Do you have an idea in your head? Do you feel good? Do you have an idea in your head?
You can do it.
What I love is your confidence. That's what makes me feel good. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. On 3, I want you to both say the word that's in your head, okay? 1, 2, 3. Love. So you said love. What did you stumble through?
Say vacation for a second.
He was going to say vacation. Okay, so we're not done yet. Once again, this is not a thing. We're not doing a thing here. Okay. So the words we now have to work with, you get 3 shots at this. We have vacation for some reason, and love. Okay, we have love and vacation. In your head, think of a word that's going to put those 2 together. Do you have it? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Honeymoon, and what was that? Was that hot tub? Hotel and honeymoon. Once again, this is not a thing. This is not a thing we're doing. Okay. Oh, they're already engaged. A big round of applause to them. Okay. This is your last shot in the game. This is your last opportunity for points. What did we have? We had honeymoon. And hotel. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
This is prime time, y'all.
So, I know his was real loud, and he said sex. I want to make sure the camera gets it. He said sex. Did you say sex? Because I didn't hear sex, but... She said elope, you said sex. You would score no points on that one. And I'm going to send you both to your seat. Give them a round of applause, folks. Now, what you will find is medium can be a difficult game, as you just saw. But the more you play it and the more rounds of the game you find, you're all of a sudden going to start finding relationships with the words that you're using with other people. So it really becomes cool, because by like the 8th round of doing that, you start putting the most ridiculous concepts together. So that's a really, really good one if you like clue-giving games. We're going to take one break away from board games for just a second, because there are a couple of video games we think are super duper important, and maybe not the ones you'd normally think of. First, we're going to shout out to Jackbox. Jackbox has done the most amazing job of combining like the physical space where we all get to be people with each other and using the screen to like do all the bookkeeping that we don't like. If you really, really like that game, we actually just released an episode on the show like yesterday about it, a game called Use Your Words. Use Your Words is as good as nearly any game in any Jackbox party pack they have ever made. They do things like, I'll just give you the first round because that's the one I can remember the most, is they will play a clip to a movie. In most cases, a foreign film, usually from the years of like 1950 and 1963. They will subtitle it to a point, and then they will leave the last subtitle for you to fill in. And then you and your friends fill in the subtitle, and you try to get the most votes possible. So if you've played those Jackbox games, it feels like a Jackbox game, but it does a really cool thing with the presentation it has, kind of like a mid-century modern 1960s, like kind of cool vibe to it. Yeah. And it uses the video clips, which is a really neat thing to see any of those games do. So Use Your Words, well worth talking about. One more we're gonna mention is, this is one a lot of you may already know, Space Team. Is this a game you're aware of? 2 people up here know Space Team, awesome. Space Team is a game you can get on your phones. It's an app. You can hook all of the apps to each other, and essentially, you're like the Star Trek Enterprise, but if you're in the Galaxy Quest version of reality. So you're gonna have a screen, on your screen in front of you is gonna be things like random words, like the interloper, and the microphone, and the gigaspectron. And then at the top of the screen, it's gonna say things like, turn the gigaspectron to 3. But you do not know that the gigaspectron is on your screen. Often it's not. So it's on someone else's. So you're just yelling at a table, someone turn the gigaspectron to 6. And everyone has to look at their phone and figure out if they have a gigaspectron to move it to 6. You're gonna get orders barked at all of the phones that are in the game, and you don't necessarily know where the orders are gonna be that you need to complete them. So it's a super cool game where you're just like yelling at people at a table. If that's your kind of thing, it is just maybe the best version of that you're gonna find. They also made an actual cardboard version of it that's right there of Space Team. What's really neat about this version of Space Team is all the cards are plastic because they assume you're gonna be drinking. And in this one, it also gives you a lot of, this one fills things in with like pictures. So it says, hey, you can fix this problem with the moon whisk and the slime combustor. So you're yelling at the table, I need the moon whisk and the slime combustor, and everyone's looking through their hands trying to figure out if they have these things. As far as the cards in your hands, they're kind of identified by either a symbol, like you see here this, I don't know, this thing, this not phallic whisk-like deal here, and this like gear thing. It could be called that. It could also be shown with a different picture. It could also be shown by its name, and you have to find them in your hand and kind of scramble to find them. So it's kind of a fun speed scrambling game if you want it in the tabletop form. If you want it in the video game form, in my opinion, I think it does better in the video game form, but a lot of people have told me I'm wrong, and I've really come to terms with that over my time. The next type of game we're going to talk about is Trader or Social Deduction, the most famous of these being a werewolf.
What was
Yes, a werewolf. We're not going to talk a ton about these only because, and this is honest to goodness, if you really want to see how a social deduction game works, come in this area at about midnight and every single table is running a different version. This one is one night Ultimate Werewolf, so if you're like me and the thing you hate about Werewolf is that if you lose in turn one, the next 6 hours of your day are taken away because you're obligated to sit there and watch people play a game you lost 6 hours ago. This does it all in about 10 minutes. It's all the yelling of, you're the werewolf. No, I'm not the werewolf. Yes, you're the werewolf. No, I'm the seer. He's the werewolf. I'm not the werewolf. He's the werewolf. It's all of that, but in a compact 10-minute space. A few more that are kind of in that series. I have to look down at my notes. 2 Rooms and a Boom is the one a lot of people know. One person's the president, one person's the bomber, and you have to keep them apart. You have to figure out what teams people are on, who wants the president to be blown up, who doesn't, and then kind of work room by room to figure out what's going on. I don't know if I saw anybody running that last night, but I wouldn't be shocked if somebody's going to, because usually any convention somebody's running like an 80-person game of this. And that's the beauty of games like this, is they can run like 70 people at one time, and I think 2 Rooms and a Boom can do that. So that's another cool one to check out. And then the third one that a lot of people know is Secret Hitler. We only mention that because of its popularity. Some people are going to find the theme of it to be problematic. We completely understand that, but you can't deny if you've played it. It is a solid game, whether you can tolerate the theme or not. If you can't, I think that's a perfectly viable opinion to have. But we do bring it up because a lot of people know this game and a lot of people know this box. In that case, one person is history's greatest villain, and you're trying to make sure that history's greatest villain doesn't make it to power. The entire thing is sort of talking about how a regime could allow that to happen, but in like a fun 40-minute game, if that's a thing that can be covered that way. Next one we're going to talk about is Werewords. So Werewords works like a werewolf game. One person is the werewolf. What they want you to do is get the wrong clue. In this one, you have a mayor character, and the mayor character is trying to give you a correct word. But the werewolf wants you to get that wrong. And you can only try to figure it out with a series of yes and no questions, which is what all the checks and X's are all about. So you're trying as a team to figure out what the word is without the werewolf figuring out what the word is. And the werewolf is trying to do everything they can to just have you get it wrong. So it's kind of a new twist on a social deduction game, but also mixing it with a word game or a clue-giving game. Another one we're going to talk about real fast is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. So what this is, and this is the box of the expansion, so I apologize, I threw the basic box away. But what this one is essentially, it's a mix of all of these kind of clue-giving games and literally the game Clue. So what's happening is someone has been murdered, and you have one person that knows what's happened. They know where it's happened. They know the clue you should be able to use to find it. They know how it's been done. They can only convey it to you in these confusing clue sets where it's like, when it happened, it was foggy. And you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? We have a limited number of things. I don't know if a playing card's foggy. I don't know what that's going to be. So you're trying as a table to figure out one person clearly has committed the crime and is trying to do everything they can to turn you all on each other so that you can't figure out how exactly the crime happened. The whole time the person that knows it is trying to, through a series of clues that they're allowed to give you, kind of convey the crime. Super cool game, super cool theme. I know that I saw copies being played, so I believe there's one in the library. But if you like the idea of like a clue-giving game and a werewolf game and literally like the murder aspect of Clue, Deception Murder in Hong Kong, well worth checking out. Another one because what I like is, I don't know that I necessarily love like straightforward werewolf, because I feel like straightforward werewolf does it better than anything else is probably going to. This one is a mix of a drawing game. It's called A Fake Artist Goes to New York. What's going to happen is this: each person gets a clue, and everybody but one of you knows what we're all going to be drawing. So we might be drawing skyscraper. Each person's then allowed to take their individual pen and make a mark on a piece of paper. We are collectively trying to draw the picture. What everyone's trying to figure out is who is the person that got a card that just has an X on it. Because the person with the X does not know what we're drawing. So what they're trying to do is make a mark that's generic enough that they can just make it, but that seems like it's a part of the picture we're all making. If they get found out, if they can tell you what the picture is, they win. So what you have to do is like keep them in the dark, but figure out who they are. So that by the time you can tell that they are definitely the person that got an X on their slip, that they also do not know what in the hell we're drawing. So that's another kind of neat social deduction mixed with another thing. That once again is called A Fake Artist Goes to New York. It's made by Oink Games. We have the teeny tiny Japanese version. If you go to Target, they've actually made a bigger version out of it. That's kind of cool. A random hand, I don't know if your arm just hurts or if you have a question.
How do you call them out? Like, if you think that you figured out who the person is?
At the end of a given round, you're allowed to say, do we think we know who the person that did this is? Yeah, we all have to agree, and we say, yes, it's definitely you. And then you say, okay, well, it was definitely me, and you're drawing a skyscraper, and they go, damn it, we were. So that's kind of how that one works. And then the final one we're going to talk about real fast is We're Doomed. So We're Doomed, I'm going to just check the crowd. Has anybody heard of the movie Dr. Strangelove? So this is Dr. Strangelove, the home game. You are all different powers. You know that it's all about to get real, real bad. You are doing everything you can with your political influence to get as many people onto the rocket ship to safety as you possibly can. Now, if you all work together, you might be able to some way avert the crisis, but that is highly unlikely. And you also have that, let's show it to rather than just face it up, let's show it to the camera. You have this giant hourglass. This gives you 10 minutes. When that hourglass is done, the game is over. If you have averted crisis, beautiful. But if not, the most political influence will get your people onto the spaceship to safety, which is what you really care about. You are all kinds of powers from all over the world and all kinds of governments. So each of your governments has a special power. So maybe my thing is I can make nuclear weapons. So what I might do during the game is very quickly get nuclear weapons together and just bomb you out of the game. Just say, oh, you're talking a lot, you can't win anymore. Then when that happens, obviously everybody else says, well, he can't win either. And then everyone teams up on me. And that's sort of how the game works, is your different powers all over the world trying to decide how you're going to divvy up the last moments of time. If you all can work together, you can avert it. That never happens.
No.
I know that it can. People have told me they've seen it. I have never seen it happen myself, but I promise you it can. But if you know the movie Dr. Strangelove, it is very much Dr. Strangelove, the home game. The next time we're going to talk about are trivia games. Trivia games, you already know Trivial Pursuit. I assume everyone knows that. Another famous one, do you know a game called Wits and Wagers? Wits and Wagers is, if you really don't like trivia games, Wits and Wagers is a great one. You get read a number or a question that the answer is a number. Everybody writes the number down they think is the correct answer without going over, like The Price is Right. They lay them out on a gambling layout, and then you bet on the answers you think are right. If you get it right, you get a bonus. If you bet on the correct answer, you're going to get an even larger bonus. And there's just a quick look at the layout. Looks like a super cool gambling layout. You can flip it the other way so we can...
Yeah,
there we go.
Last year was the other way around.
I know. But if you take a look, that just kind of, you put it on the gambling layout, the further it is from the center, the more money it's worth. At the end of 7 questions, the person with the most money wins. So it's a mix of a trivia game and a gambling game. Another one I'm just going to talk about real super fast is there's a game, it was called Bezer Whizzer. Back in the day, it's called Smartish now. This is a mix of a strategy game and a trivia game, but it plays a bunch of people. You have categories, they're relatively difficult. You have little tiles that represent all of the categories, and essentially what you do is you just keep switching tiles with people and making them take trivia categories they're bad at. So what you're allowed to do is you have like a 1, 2, 3, and 4 point category. You line up exactly how you want it. You're like, I am an ace at fashion. I'm going to make that 3 points. I'm a basura at science. I'm going to make that 1 point. And then people go, I know Bruce is garbage at this. I'm going to use my special powers to make science his big question. And that's kind of, you draw randomly and then you sort of move around. And that's Smartish. If you really like trivia, Smartish is a great game to check out. And we just put it up there just so that you'd know about it if you happen to be a trivia fan. The next one we're going to take a look. We're going to play this one with everybody. So everybody in the room is going to help us some, but you're going to do it by yelling a lot. This is a game called Are You Dumber Than a Box of Rocks? We are about to find out if as a room we are dumber than a box of rocks. What's going to happen is this, is there are questions in the box. The answers to those questions are, what is it, 0, 1,
or 2.
Or 2. We get to figure out what we think the answer is. The rocks, and let's show the rocks, are going to do the exact same thing. We're going to roll the rocks, and they may have a shot at getting the answer right as well. So let's ask our first question. Bryan, can you handle this one for me?
Sure.
Okay, question number 1. As you see, there's a little scoreboard. We're going to play to 3. It depends on how bad we do. We might cut it short, but let's assume we're going to play to 3.
Does it matter which one we go with?
Go with any question.
All right. How many Marvel heroes and villains survived the 1995 comic book Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe?
So you go. Did you hear that one? Okay. So what I want you to do is I'm going to just call for a cheer from the crowd, whoever sounds like the loudest we're going with. How many people think the answer is 0?
All right,
One
then.
guy and he's not even talking. How many people think it's 1? How many people think it's 2? 1 sounded louder to me. The humans are going with 1. What do the rocks say? The rocks say 2.
2.
What's the correct answer? The correct answer is...
0. The Punisher wiped everyone out, including himself.
We all lost. We lost. The rocks lost. Let's go one more. Let's go one more and see if we can just get a point in the game for either team. Nobody scores on that one. One more time.
We got a topical one. In George Lucas's 3 Star Wars prequels, which number episode is Attack of the Clones?
So once again, which number is Attack of the Clones? One guy, very sure, just saying, I don't even want to hear from the crowd. Just shut up. I know that it's 2. But you know what? There's a whole process we have to go through. Who says 0? 2 just trolls say it's 0. Who says it's 1? Okay, that dude, thank you. How many people think it's 2?
There you go.
The crowd says 2. What do the rocks say?
They say it's 1.
The rocks say it's 1. What's the answer?
2.
Yes, we scored a point! In our abrupt game, we are smarter than a box of rocks. Give yourselves a round of applause. So that is a game we just love to play. It's a lot of fun to just sit. We did it on the show as a live play at the end of our episodes. We do just one that we play on the radio so you can hear it, and that one's great for that. If you really just need to kill like 5 minutes and you really love the idea of a box of rocks possibly being smarter than you, that is a great game to check out. We're going to move on to drawing games now. The game you probably know is Pictionary. Pictionary, hey, I have an idea. I'm allowed to do it by drawing, and I can't write any numbers or words. That's Pictionary. You've played it. You either like it or you don't. Our best in show for this is Telestrations. Telestrations is the game of telephone mixed with drawing. We had a few folks play it earlier. We're going to show you. Essentially what you do is you pick a word or phrase. We actually gave them phrases rather than words. You start with the phrase. Then you're going to draw the phrase you just saw. Then you're going to pass it over. The new person's going to look at what you just drew, try to figure out what the hell it is. Then the person's going to look at what you wrote and try to draw that, and so on and so forth until it comes back to you. And then you're going to present your tablet. So let's present some tablets.
All right, Dara like Sarah.
So, okay. So Dara started with...
Wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. Whee! I'm so happy. It's a dancing Yeti. It's a dancing Yeti. Hey, that is a dancing Yeti.
That is very much
It's
a
a very
dancing
good
Yeti.
dancing Yeti. It's a fluff monster.
And we
Ta-da.
played 4 rounds on that one. Let's show another one.
Oh, don't worry. Okay, MK. Donkey. But this, I won't read that one. I can't wait. You ready? Butt jokes. Butt jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Butt jokes.
And that is Telestration. Telestration also has an After Dark version. I'll be honest, I don't really like their After Dark version because I don't think it's After Dark enough. It's like kind of naughty, and I feel like for that you might as well just go clean. If you're really gonna go, if you really want to go crazy and you already have your Cards Against Humanity, just take cards out of your Cards Against Humanity and use them with Telestrations and play Cards Against Telestrations.
Or really just use the regular one, and it turns into butt jokes anyway.
It does turn into butt jokes each and every time. What we're going to do now is we're going to play another game with the crowd. Who feels like they're half decent at drawing? Okay, I just saw your hand shoot up. Come on, come on, come on, come on. So what we need to do for this one is I want you to take and plug the thing into my iPad. What is your name? Katie. Everybody, round of applause for Katie. Okay, so we're going to go out of that. We're going to go over here. We're going to go to this. Katie, what I want you to do is stand in front of us here. So what's about to happen is this is a game called Pictionary Air. One of the main reasons I brought this is most folks who play games, who self-identify as game nerds, believe there's nothing good to be seen at Target and Walmart and Barnes & Noble, and they're like, no, that's where trash games are. This game was, I think, a Target exclusive, and it comes with this light pen. So what's about to happen is this, is you're gonna get a clue, pick whichever clue you want. Do you have the clue you like? Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna hand this to you. There's a button on the top. You're gonna draw at the screen, okay? So, you're gonna draw at this right here. I'm sorry, everything's the screen. You're gonna draw at the iPad. So we're gonna hand you that real quick. So let's do this. It's just hit the play.
Wait for it.
Okay, so.
You have to hold the button.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yep, now you're not allowed to look over here. Normally you wouldn't be able to.
2, 1.
Okay, crowd, start yelling out guesses.
Star. Flower. Turtle. Bird. Leaf. Tree.
My jokes.
You gotta hold it.
Oh, God.
Falling star. Shooting star.
Tree. Leaves. Air.
Fire. Campfire. Campfire.
Which one is this? I just heard it. Starfish is the correct answer.
All right, pick another one.
So we're going to go one more. We're going to clear that one. We're going to do one more. Okay, show me which one you're doing just so that when I hear it, I know. Okay, there you go. Okay.
All right, you got 50 seconds.
Okay. Tell me what this one is, folks. Okay, so that's probably... There we go. Cannon's the correct answer. So that is Pictionary Air. Normally one person would be drawing, trying to convey the clue. The rest of the team is on this side of the screen, or in the case here, on this side of the screen, you're trying to figure it out while you're up there trying to do it in the air while not knowing what you're drawing. What I realized one time was I played it, and for some reason, and I don't know if this happened to you, but it happened to me when I played with it, which was I felt like it was just a magic pen. So I didn't worry about doing it here. I was like, no, I'm trying to draw this thing. I'm trying to show you Charlie Brown. And everyone's like, you idiot. The light is on the end of the pen. It's not a magic pen. Everybody, a big round of applause.
Yeah.
And it's what, 5:30, 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay, so we still have time. Beautiful. I just want to get a time check there. Okay, so another type of game, especially if you're sort of more board game inclined, are called roll and write games. These are games where like one person chucks dice or flips a card, and anywhere from like 6 to 1 million people can do something with that information. One that I always like to show people is Quicks. This is kind of the one that sort of, in the US, kind of reignited the roll and write thing. So you're going to roll dice. You're essentially trying to match up colors. If you take a look, there's a little board there. You're going to kind of see in the drawing, and we can, in any way, we can just get one out there to just take a look.
It's a weird box.
It is a very weird box.
There you go. There's a board thing.
So what's going to happen is dice are going to be rolled. Some of them are going to be in a color. Some of them are going to be white. And you're trying to cross everything off from left to right. So in red, you want to start at your 2 and work your way to your 12. In your green, and I think this is blue, although my color's a little off, you're trying to work from your 12 and move to your 2. So low numbers are not always good. High numbers are not always good. But once you've moved past a certain point, you can't go back again. So you're just trying to pluck dice at the right times to be allowed to use them to get the numbers you want. And everybody can do this at the same time because there's a pool of 5 dice. So maybe you're looking and you think, well, I want to use it for the red 3, and I'm thinking I want to use it for the green 10. So we can both see the same dice and interpret them a different way. Quicks in the deluxe version plays 8 people, comes with 8 boards. Really, you could play, 100 people if you had 100 boards. But that is Quicks. Another one that's in the group is called Welcome To. And this, I heard like one person that was like, yeah, amen, yes. For Welcome To, essentially you're going to have several decks of cards or several cards flipped up, and they're going to tell you what parts in the community that you are building your homes you are allowed to put numbers in. Just let's open up and take a look at one of the pads. This one literally says it plays to 100. It only stops at 100 because there are only 100 pads in the box. So if you just take out the rules and if you take, there we go. So with this thing, you're filling in all these little houses. Okay, they went away. Okay, they're back. You're filling in the houses while you're also filling in the swimming pools because some cards will let you fill in swimming pools. Some are letting you fill things in down here because it's the housing market. Some of them are businesses, so it lets you break some rules about where you're allowed to put your particular houses. Some of them give you parks, so if you get parks, you kind of fill things out over there. And there's 3 cards at any given time, so anybody may use it in any myriad of ways. So it allows us to play, the whole room could play this. And maybe next year we should try that as a panel, as we just play one giant whole room full of Welcome To. But it allows us to see the same information and not do the same thing with it, because we can fill in anywhere we want to on our card. So if you're thinking, I don't know that I want a party game, I don't want people like hooting and hollering, I want a quiet party, but I want a quiet party with 70 people, Welcome To is certainly a fantastic way to do that. And the last one I'm going to show you is one I particularly like, because I like Monopoly. Feel free to judge me. I don't care how you feel. This is a mix of a roll and write we were just talking about, where you kind of roll dice and you can figure out what to do with them, and Monopoly. So in this one, you're actually going to use values, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. It's a mix of Yahtzee and Monopoly, which sounds awful. However, it really isn't. There are a lot of interesting choices to make here of where you're going to put the dice to build what sort of properties to get to your monopolies and things like that. So if you happen to like those classic games and you don't have like a weapons-grade hatred, Roll Estate is a great game to check out. It's on printandplay.com, and it's like $3. So if you want to blow $3 and you have a handful of dice and you want to try something, I just wanted to put that one in there in case you happen to like roll and write games. That's the one a lot of people have not heard of. We're going to move on to, okay. So this particular category I've never found a succinct way to talk about, but I like to call it games that should probably have a buzzer. There are a lot of party games where they hand you the game and they say like, oh, do this thing, and whoever yells it first gets the point. And I find that like kind of painful, but if they had buzzers, or if you put like a hand in the center of the table and the first person to touch your hand is the person that gets to answer, you can kind of fill that buzzer thing in. So one of those that's really, really cool is a game called Linky. Linky, you're going to ask a series of questions. Each question is linked together, and you're trying to find the end of the link. So if I'm trying to give you presidents on American coins, I would ask you the first question and say, you know, there is a pointy monument in our nation's capital. You would think Washington. And then I would say, you know, a city in Nebraska. You would think Lincoln. What you're trying to do to answer is tell me how it's all going to tie together. So you can't just answer the first thing and go, Washington. Would have been the answer to that first part, but you need to figure out the link. So Linky is a great game if you're looking for kind of an interesting way that you could potentially play sort of a buzzer game. And like every trivia game ever made, with few exceptions that we've shown you, would be better if it were just a buzzer game. We're also about to play our favorite of all of the possible buzzer games. Now, rather than do it as a buzzer, we are going to let you just yell things out because there are so many of you that this is hilarious. Rocky, if you'd take it away and explain earworm.
So, earworm, you are trying to get your friends to guess what song you're singing, but you can't use any of the words. So you can just make noises or hum it or use one word in particular, but they have to try and guess what song you're trying to convey. There are a lot of different genres in here. Here are some examples. There we go. There we go. 90s babies. Yes. Yeah. There you go. See, a good mix of stuff. Would you like to try this?
I think that's probably a thing to do. Now, when we've done it on the show, you've always done it with just one word.
Yes. Yes, I do have a favorite word.
Yeah, so if you tell everybody how you're going to be conveying this song to everyone.
I'm going to meow. So if you would like to save yourself, now's the time to exit.
So Rocky's about to meow a song at you. When you think you know what the song is, raise your hand, I'll call on you, and we'll see who can get this. Are you ready?
Oh, this won't take long.
Okay.
Meow, 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 meow,
Yes.
meow.
Never gonna give you up. That's correct. You want to try a couple more?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Oh, I hope
so we're
I
gonna
pick
try
one I
one or
know.
two more just to show you what it looks like. But I feel like you've got an idea of how this game works. But you're trying to convey the song without using any of the words at all. Do you have a couple that you feel good with? You feel like you could get across that might work? That looks like a person that does not feel that way.
Should I gamble?
Yes, gamble.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Meow, 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 meow.
In the back. No, it's not My Heart Will Go
Nope.
On. Okay, wait a minute. Right here. Yep.
Yeah!
Simple and clean. That is exactly what it was.
Nice work, everyone.
So that is the game that you're playing, is you're trying to convey to your team songs by just either using noises or, in this case, meowing at them.
Meow.
A super cool game. I also really just love the art style of it. It's just kind of a fun game, but it also gives you some information. It tells you the song. It also tells you the year and the artist, in case you're wondering about that. So just kind of a neat, fun game there.
Yes.
We're going to conclude this with a couple of games. Like, we don't have genres for these, but we just really like them and we want to tell people about them. So the first one I want to start with is, this is an old version of it. So earlier I talked about Dr. Strangelove, the board game. This is Reservoir Dogs, the board game. This is called Cash and Guns. If somebody would just open the box and hand me the important prop to show everybody how this game works.
Only if I get one, too.
Okay, everybody has robbed something, we'll say a bank. And now you are deciding how to take care of the money, and you're gonna do that with handguns. What you do every round is money will go in the center of the table, and we're gonna decide who gets it. You decide that by pointing your gun at someone. You're gonna pick a card. They either say bang, which means I'm gonna shoot you, or they say click, which means I wasn't gonna shoot you, but I wanted you to be real scared. So on a count of three, you go 1, 2, 3, and you point guns at each other. And then you get another count of 3, 1, 2, 3. If you think you're gonna get shot, you're allowed to flip over your card and kind of dive under the table and not get hurt. If you dive under the table, you take sort of a humiliation point for diving under the table.
Figuratively.
Figuratively.
You don't actually have to dive
You don't
under the
actually have to
table.
dive under the table. You're absolutely right. That's important. You do not actually have to dive under the table. If you're still in and you're being pointed at, they then flip their card. If it says click, ha ha ha, I didn't actually shoot you. It's cool. And then everybody divides the money up that's on the table. You play that for a number of rounds and the most money wins. Fun part is foam handguns. In the new printing, I think the foam handguns are black, so they look more like guns, which is either better or worse depending on how you feel about that.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. Next one we're going to talk about is, so let me try the room. I feel like you're going to know what these are, but you know cooperative games? Is that a thing you're aware of? Very cool. This might even be one that you know. It is my favorite of cooperative games. It is called Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. So in this game, Sherlock Holmes, and I don't see any children so I can say this, Sherlock Holmes is a dick. Sherlock Holmes is well aware of the fact that he's literary's greatest detective. The game begins with you being read a scenario where Sherlock Holmes is talking to someone and you're just like some person that wants to hang out with Sherlock Holmes because you hope you can beat him to figuring the crime out. And you get the beginning of a story and you only have 2 tools to help you. Let's open up the box real quick and just show you what your tools are. It slides out.
Because he has to be better than everyone.
Yes. So what you get is you get the London directory. Flip to the directory real quick. These are just people that live in London. Hey, this dude lives in London at 75 Southwest. You also have, if you pull out, there is a map of London. There is a map of London that shows you where all of these people live.
Way bigger than this.
Yeah, it's way bigger than that. But when you say we need to go to 31 Southeast, you're going to literally this building. As you learn things at the beginning of the story, you're going to learn where in London it might have happened. So you might find yourself looking at all those little cross streets because you think the crime may have happened there. The final thing you're given, pick out any given, like, okay, there we go, is you get a newspaper. You get the day's newspaper that gives you all of this information that may or may not mean anything. You will eventually find out that someone you talk to may have put an ad in the newspaper looking for something that's hidden and decoded in the clues. You have to use all of that to figure it out faster than Sherlock Holmes can. Here's what I'm going to let you know. You can't. It's him and Batman, and maybe, because I see your outfit, maybe Pikachu. Him, Batman, and Pikachu are the only 3 decent detectives that we've ever come up with. He's going to beat you. If as a table you can accept this, what's really awesome is you're going to go through London figuring all these things out. Every single game also has a B plot unrelated to anything you were told at the beginning. Whenever you feel like you're done, you say as a table, okay, we're going to stop. You then are asked questions at the end, and the more questions you can answer, the more points you're going to get. Then Sherlock Holmes tells you he did it in a third of the amount of time that it took you, and exactly how he did it and it's exactly like Sherlock Holmes, where it's, oh, I knew the dirt on the boot of the person in the first place could only have come from the zoo, and it's a whole thing that you're never going to beat. What I can say is if what you want is a really cool, like, exploration game where you're working with a crowd of up to 8 people to go through all these newspapers, it is super awesome. Also, as you go case by case, you're allowed to have the old newspapers. So sometimes you're going to learn that a clue in case number 1 is important in case number 5. There were a few games that do this. This, I think, might be my favorite, although there's one called Chronicles of Crime that has come out that does it all with cell phones rather than doing it with paper. But there's something I like about the feeling of like the newsprint in your hand when you're working on a Sherlock Holmes story that I think is just kind of cool. The next one we'll show you real quick is a bluffing game called Skull. There we go. A couple people know Skull. It used to be called Skull and Roses. You get these really cool coasters with skulls on them and flowers on them. And then you have that is your cool other coaster. As a note, when you are playing this game, do not drink anything. I don't mean like alcohol, I mean like don't have a Coke or anything, because you'll start to use them as coasters and you'll ruin them. Essentially what's going to happen is each turn you're either going to flip up or you're going to flip face down one of your cards, either a skull or one of your roses, or you're going to say, I'm going to bid a number of these tiles I can flip over, and I'm not going to get a skull. So we all put one out to start, and then maybe I flip the next one. So there are 5 tiles on the board. Then it might be your turn, and you say, okay, I can pluck 2. Everybody else can either say, I can pluck 3, or they have to let you go. If you can do it, you flip over starting with your tiles, and then another tile. If they're all roses, you get a point. You flip over your like big square coaster to show that you're closer to winning. If you're wrong, you're gonna have to take one of your tiles and you're gonna have to throw it in the middle, and it's gonna be random. So you might lose your skull, you might lose your ability to hurt people in any future turn. And as the game goes on, you start to learn who lost their skulls early. So it's a bluffing game, kind of like, have you ever heard of Liar's Dice? It's like that, but it's a lot more kind of compact and less luck-based, and has these beautiful coasters, which I think is just a real big kind of plus for Skull. Bryan, I'm gonna let you talk about this one, because you should talk about things. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, you have.
And I know you like this one.
This is one of my favorite games. This one is Dead Last. We don't really have a category. We kind of refer to them as backstabbity games. Basically, it's a tontine, if anyone knows what that is. Essentially, there have been movies and stuff that have done it. It's a bunch of people like put a whole bunch of money together and then make an agreement that the last person left alive gets all the money. And so you can sort of shortcut old age by just murdering all the other people, and then you get to actually spend the money while you're young, is the idea here. So we all have different color cards, like there's purple and blue and green and orange on the cover here. Rocky will show you. And every round you agree as a group, you have like 2 minutes to talk amongst yourselves and decide who you as a group are going to kill. And you can say anything you want, you can lie, you can make secret deals, but you have to do it quick. And then at the end of the round, everybody puts a card face down, you all flip it, whichever color has the most votes gets killed. Anyone who didn't vote for the person with the most votes also dies. So if you don't jump on the bandwagon with the big group that's killing everyone else, you have to get in, you die too. There's also an ambush. So if you know that you're going to get ganged up on, you can play an ambush card, which says you don't die, and you get to pick one of the people who shot you and kill them instead. And so it's all this just quick, fast-paced backstabbing where you're looking at people at the table and telling them, hey, let's all gang up on purple, and then you like wink and flash the red card to the rest of the table, and so 2 people vote for purple and then 6 people vote for red, and the people who voted for purple thought they were going to, and it's just, there's a lot of, it's chaotic, it's fast-paced. You play that through till there's 2 people left, and then whoever's left gets some money, and then you keep playing that until somebody gets 25 gold bars worth of money. So it's several rounds, so if you die, you'll be right back in the game in like 2 minutes. So you don't have to worry about getting shot. Like, everyone is going to get shot multiple times. There's no, like, so it's a backstabby game where you're backstabbing people, which you're not, like, if you kill someone in the first round, it's not like they're out and got to watch everyone else play for an hour.
Yeah.
It's a fast-paced game. You're supposed to betray each other. If you like that sort of game, I really think this is a great example of it.
And then what's really cool about it is if you're in one of the early rounds and like you and I got knocked out early, while they're finishing the other 4 minutes of the game, we might go in the other room and like get a glass of water, and we just say like, none of them live next time, right? No, we'll figure it out in the end who lives, but they're all dead, right? Oh yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then you go back in and you're like, how did you end up dying so fast? It's almost as if we talked about it in the other room. Then you give them the finger and you roll on about your life.
That is the best part. Is
Yeah.
remember when you killed me last time? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Your
not
turn.
getting money this time.
And then
ever.
I'm going to show you one more, Bryan. It's on the top of the stack there. So the same kind of idea of a backstabby game where you're just kind of just being mean to people. Galapagos. Galapagos is a game, it's the same sort of idea, except your plane has crashed on a deserted island, and you're trying to get off the deserted island. But sometimes people would rather help themselves than help the crowd, so you decide if they're going to die before you can make enough boats to get off the island. So it's the idea of like you could work together to help everybody, or you just need to make sure you're going to get off the island. But it's very much the same idea of it just being backstabby and trying to figure out who you're going to help and who you're not going to help. And if somebody gets poisoned by something, are you going to use something to heal them now? Or are you going to let them die because that's one less mouth we have to feed the next round? So there's a kind of decisions. You have to make sure there's enough water and enough food for everybody. So sometimes you need to decide how many people are actually going to get water and food the next round. And that obviously is where the tension in that game comes from.
Yeah, I like to think of it, it's a cooperative game right up until it isn't. Because if
definitely.
nobody works together, everyone dies. So you have to work together to build a raft, get food, water, but then at some point, you're going to realize that you will never have enough for everyone. So someone's got to go.
Yeah.
And then you figure out who it is and why.
And then one last game I'm going to tell you about, I don't even know if you're going to be able to pull it out, but I want to explain it, is a game called Reverse Charades. So reverse charades, when I tell you the idea, you're going to say that doesn't sound fun, but when you see it, it is. So in charades, normally one person, like myself, does some stupid shit here in the front of the room, and you yell clues at me and guesses. Reverse charades works the opposite. One person sits down and is allowed to guess, and everyone else must work together to manage to come up with a clue. So what I'm going to do is, do I have a couple people that want to help me with this real quick? Do I have like 1, 2, 3? All 3 of you come up.
We have 2 minutes.
We have 2 minutes. This is the last thing we're doing. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. The 3 of you are going to try and give a clue. Do I have one more person that wants to guess their clue? Help me out. Somebody close. Sir, right there. Come on up. Stand here. Okay, I'm going to show the 3 of you this clue. There it is. You are not allowed to talk to each other. You just need to convey that idea. Do me a favor. Face the crowd so the crowd also sees what you're doing. You're just trying to guess what they're all going to work on. They cannot talk to each other. They're just going to have to try to do stuff together to show you what their clue is. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What are they doing? It is not a luau. Keep guessing. Move over there if you need to get a good look at them. What are they doing? They are windshield wipers. You were not guessing, but you know what? He got it. Give everybody a round of applause.
That's the cord out.
And that is Reverse Charades. That's the last game we're going to talk about. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out for our panel. If we have, can we? It's on the floor. Can we put it in the iPad and put up the? Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to set this up. We do a podcast called the Party Gamecast, featuring the Party Gamecast, a podcast about party games and games you take to parties. So if you liked what we talked about today and you like party games, that is certainly a great place to get your party game-related information, or at least we sure as hell think it is. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for coming out, for spending part of your MAGFest with us. We know there are a lot of things to do, and we thank you. Have a fantastic MAGFest. Thank you so much. Remember, if you liked what you saw, by all means, please check out the show. Anything we talked about here today, we're going to put notes on all of our social media, so all the games we discussed, you're going to have there. And if you have any questions while we're packing up and there's just something you really want to know about that we didn't get to, feel free to come on up. Once again, thank you so much. Have a fantastic MAGFest.